Also, I'm working with Paul Goyette. I'm doing all the personal injury matters and things like that. As way of a background, I've been practicing for about 34 years now. And all I do is public safety, personal injury work. That's all I do. I like to frame everything a little bit by using motor vehicle accidents as in kind of an example, just so everybody kind of gets a good idea. One thing that I experience all the time, members don't know a couple things. Number one, they don't know that if they get injured on duty, they have other options other than workers' comp. Most people, most officers that get injured on duty, they just think, boom, sergeant's gonna send me the forms, I'm gonna get going on workers' comp, and then boom, that's it. But the reality is there's other options, okay? And nowadays, especially more than ever, you see workers' comp benefits shrinking. It's harder and harder and harder to get treatment sometimes. Things are getting denied all the time. Things like that. People are left like kind of hanging in an abyss sometimes. Those kinds of environments are kind of dangerous for you guys. Let me put it this way, a lot of times you guys are really reliant on OT overtime. When you get injured, you're going through the comp system, you don't get overtime. So suddenly income is down, environments are down, families are stressed, things like that. In those environments, it's very, very important to be aggressive, looking for other sources of money, frankly. Insurance, other parties that are responsible for the accident, things like that. You're involved in an on-duty MVA, reach out and explore, even though it might be uncomfortable, even though you think the other driver doesn't have insurance, happens all the time. The reality is you don't really know until you file. You do some kind of investigation. And guess what? If the other driver has insurance, that's going to be another source of income for you while you're mending or if you're off duty, that kind of thing. The other thing is, which is the big thing, is uninsured motorist coverage. Most people don't realize if you get involved in an on-duty vehicle accident, your own insurance can apply. So what that means is if you take a look at your own automobile insurance, there's a section called uninsured/underinsured. That's very, very, very important. It's a cheap benefit, number one. It's also, you can get huge amounts. I have like $4 million on mine, but you can get like $500,000 or something like that in terms of coverage. Now, you might not ever use it, but I guarantee you, especially around here, if you get hit by somebody and you break a leg, you have back surgery, something like that, and guess what? They've got a 15 policy, a small policy. Comp takes care of you a little bit, sends you back to work, but you got a limp, you got a scar, something. Your own insurance can kick in and boom, pay you from that benefit, okay? Most people don't realize that that's even there for them to look at. Mike, I don't want to talk too much about your case without your okay on it, but that's exactly kind of what happened with Mike's case. Is that good?
Whatever you want.
Okay, you guys know what happened to Mike. So he goes, he's issuing a warrant, and boom, he gets ambushed, right? So nobody's thinking about the homeowner at all, right? So guess what you do? You make a claim against the homeowner, you go after the homeowner. And guess what? We were able to get the homeowner to pitch up the homeowner's policy. We've got 2 cases right now in San Jose. The officers were involved in, one was a DV. She was shot in the stomach, survived, suing the homeowner for renting to that particular felon. A lot of times when I'm talking with clients and you ask them, hey, I need to see your insurance policy, they always say the same thing. I've got full coverage, but they don't actually know what that actually in real life means. And you take a look at it, and they might have coverage that protects the other driver, but it doesn't necessarily protect themselves. So when you protect yourselves, that's why you look at that benefit I was mentioning, the uninsured and the underinsured benefit. That protects yourself. So if you get involved in a vehicle accident, that's taking care of yourself. No, you get a passenger. That's a good question. I have a case right out now in Mammoth Lakes. It was a CDCR case, and the passenger, they were transporting an inmate, and they got whacked, they got T-boned, and the passenger is the one who felt all the impact and was injured, and she has her own uninsured, and also if it was not a state vehicle, if it was the other driver, she'd be covered by her partner or her driver. It's not that expensive. It's worth it.
And I know after first meeting you and having discussions about the insurance stuff and everything, I went back to my insurance agent and got the $1 million umbrella policy.
Yes.
Everything. They required me to up my limits a little bit on the car insurance, so I couldn't cash in on an umbrella policy without paying for the underlying car insurance at that level. But it was actually surprisingly affordable.
It is, yeah. And that is another thing. That's another layer of insurance. Umbrella insurance is extremely, extremely important. It's not that expensive. And if you get umbrella insurance that expands the underlying policy, that's what you want. The only thing that's come up, I'd say in the last 3 years, that's a little bit nerve-wracking is if you guys get injured on duty and you get limitations through workers' comp, respect those limitations because I don't know how aggressive they are here in Modesto. You see municipalities a lot more aggressive about filming officers and firefighters off duty. So if it says, hey, you can't lift a bag over 10 pounds and you're out there, lifting a hockey bag or something, you're gonna get made an example of. So you gotta respect those.
One thing I would add to that answer to that question is officers got to watch what they say. They're involved in a motor vehicle accident and they'll make a statement, I worked a double and I've fallen asleep behind the wheel, something like that. Now you're in trouble. Or texting while you're driving. In fact, I could do an hour on this. Don't give up your phone, period. Don't give up your phone password. But if we've had this case happen where an officer's texting while they're driving, looking down on a personal matter, boom, gets involved in an accident, and the department wants his phone.
Second of all, there's an old saying that the golden rule, the more they know, the worse off you are. The less they know, the better off you are. You guys get dealt with that in a different way, but the same would apply to you guys. When you get involved in a vehicle accident, especially if it winds up into some kind of an internal thing, you want to make sure you're being taken care of. Well, yes and no. I mean, here's what I experienced. You can have somebody who gets like we'll call a soft tissue injury, not that major of an injury, but you're afforded light duty, or there's no light duty, so you're at home and you're mending. So if you're mending, you're getting 4850 time or something. And the value of your case is going like this, even though your injury is like this. So the value of your injury, if I could talk about it like that, there's no broken bones, there's no surgeries or anything like that. You're just not allowed to get back to work, right? So if that goes on for 6 months, guess what? The city, through 4850 time and stuff like that, has spent all this money on you, and they want their money back. So what they do, kind of like Mike's environment, they want to go get their money back. So they look to you to file a lawsuit against the other driver. And once you do that, even if they have a small policy, the city, hopefully in the future, the city will be more inclined to cut a deal with you. They'll split, like if they had a 15 policy, just to use that as an example, most of the time you'll get them to split it 3 ways. You say, okay, the city takes $5,000 back, client takes $5,000, $5,000 goes to the attorney. But so it depends. If you're in a little bumper of an accident, but you don't miss any time from work, then not so much, but you still have a claim. It's still worth a few $1,000s. And I wouldn't necessarily just leave that money on the table. And especially if you're missing time. If you've had any priors, a lot of you guys kind of tough it out. You fall down, you get hurt in a car accident or something like that. You go, I need to work, I need the OT, my daughter's in college or whatever the thing is, and you're still injured, it's still worthwhile to take a look at that. Because sometimes you can get diagnosis, blown disc in the neck, but no surgery, the client doesn't want surgery. And that's worth something, even though you continue to work. So there's a way to get you money, even though you're not making a big deal out of it, so to speak. The reality is, anytime you get in an accident, have somebody look at it. That's another big thing, by the way. Don't just dismiss this, the overtime thing. I don't know how many of you guys rely on overtime, but it seems now that people actually kind of consider overtime part of their income. That's how much they rely on it. I don't know how you guys are set up in that way. But you don't get overtime to get injured in workers' comp. So the only way to get that overtime back is through a civil suit against, for example, the other driver. It's the only way to get it back. Okay? No, good. How that works? That's a good question. How that works is you go back 3 years. It fluctuates, sometimes seasonally. If you work in San Francisco, you're covering, doing this and that for the city or whatever. So it fluctuates. But what you typically do is you go back 3 years and you just amortize it. You average it out. So it can be quite substantial, frankly.